Hey y'all, welcome to SCOM 2050. I'm your professor, Steve Harrow, and I'm shooting this video basically primarily because my full-time job is at a community college in Las Vegas. I live in Atlanta, but I teach in Las Vegas online, and I have to go back for meetings occasionally. Um, and I'm a part-time instructor at GSU. I live in Atlanta. So every spring semester, if I teach a Tuesday, Thursday class, I miss that first day, which is really weird. It sucks, but hopefully I'll make up for it later by the end of the semester. So I wanted to shoot the video to introduce myself, to tell you where I am. Actually, I'm in Peoria right now for a funeral. I get home Monday morning and then I leave Monday night for Las Vegas. So I've been hustling for a few days and it'll be a little bit more time before I get to sleep in my own bed, but it's all good. So, what I'm going to do now, since we can't meet on Tuesday, I'm going to go through the syllabus and talk a little bit about the class so that we don't have to do that. So on Thursday, when we do have our first class meeting, we're going to start talking about chapter 1. And what I'm going to do now is flip the camera around so it's on my desktop and walk you through the syllabus and basically what we're going to do for Thursday and then Tuesday. And then we should be all set. And I'm looking forward to seeing y'all Thursday. I love teaching at GSU. I got my PhD here. And now I'm able, since we live in Atlanta, I'm able to teach here. And I love the students, love undergrads. The class is really interesting and fun. Or at least I hope you find it that it is. It is to me. And I'll try to make it as fun and interesting as I can. So more soon, and I'll see y'all face to face on Thursday. But now let's take a look at the syllabus. Hey y'all, so here we are in iCollege. My iCollege looks a little different than yours because I just teach the same class. Your tiles will be of a bunch of different classes. We're the 027 section, so click that. And this is what iCollege looks like. Announcements in the right pane and content in the left pane. You can check your grades there. And the first thing you should do is open up the syllabus. You can read it in the browser. And we'll just go through this quickly. My name is Steve, but I prefer you call me Dr. Harrow or Professor Harrow. It's not an ego thing. If you want to know why, let me know and I'll tell you, but I'm guessing you won't find it that interesting. If you need to communicate with me, you can email me. Please don't use iCollege. It doesn't always work that well on my end, and I have office hours from 9:30 to 10:45, right before our class, Tuesday and Thursday, 25 Park Place. Okay, so here's the course description. The catalog says it's a review of the ways mass media has transformed culture, politics, and communication. This class is to enhance your media literacy. And then I go on to explain kind of my approach to studying for the class. And you can read that. We'll talk more about that later. Okay, so here's the required book. You will need the book. There are questions from the exam on the book. Sometimes I talk about the book. Some of the assignments I give you will require you having the book. And unfortunately, it's kind of expensive, but if you go through the bookstore and get the ebook, that's, I think, the cheapest way to get the book. If you email me, please put your section number in the subject line. That just makes it a little easier for me. I'm teaching another one of these, and if I have to figure out which class you're in, it takes some extra time that I would prefer not to use on that. Attendance, you should come to class, if mainly because you'll learn more, but also because a lot of what we talk about will be on the exams and it's not in the book. And then finally, you at least need to come at the beginning of class to turn in the extra credit, which we'll talk about in a minute. Here's the policy on late work. I generally prefer not to take it, and pop quizzes cannot be made up. Graded work, 720 points. So 40 points are pop quizzes. There will be 8 pop quizzes. They can be at the start of any class, and they will not be on an exam day. and I will not give you a pop quiz on the first meeting after spring break. They start right at when class starts. They end about 5 minutes later, and once the quizzes are picked up, once the quiz is off the screen, then you cannot take the quiz anymore. So basically, I put the quiz on the screen in the classroom right at 11 o'clock or whenever class starts. You have about 5 minutes. There'll probably be 5 questions, and then I take it down. I collect the quizzes, I give you the answers, and then we go into the lecture. Before every exam, I'll give you an exam prep assignment, and this should help you prepare for the exam. And I'll give you more information about that later, but those are worth 10 points. The exams. The main thing I want to say about the exams first, they may be in class, but we may move them online. I'm not sure yet. I'll let you know as soon as I figure that out. But the exams will cover everything in the chapters we've covered, whether or not we talk about them in class. Everything we talk about in the lectures, whether or not it's in the book. I bring a lot of extra information, examples in, and so you'll need to be prepared to answer questions about those. And anything in the exam prep assignment and the extra credit assignments. So you can see you'll need to come to class, you'll need to take notes and pay attention, and you will have something to do fairly regularly with, the 3 hours or so per week you're supposed to devote to this class outside of the classroom. There are 60 points of extra credit, which basically if you get a high B+, it'll bring you up to an A+. So you'll want to do the extra credit. There are 2 kinds of extra credit. The first one are these quizzes. One you take at the beginning of semester, one at the end of the semester. They're trying to assess how much you've learned in the class. So when you take the quiz, I would prefer you do as well as you can. Take your time and try to answer the questions. But you are not graded on that. So once you've taken the quiz, I get a list of names of everybody in my class who took the quiz. I give them 5 points when they take the pre-quiz. I give them another 5 when they take the post-quiz. And the other extra credit we're calling preparation and practice. These assignments will either help get you prepared for a lecture that's coming up next, or they'll help you practice something we just talked about in the preceding lecture. And I don't know how many of these there are going to be and what exactly they're going to be. This is kind of new. But I wanted to make the extra credit in the class something that would help you learn. And that involves actually doing something extra. To me, showing up to class is not extra. That's basic. So these things are, it depends on the topic we study, and you'll see one in a second. We're going to go to it in just a second. And how I'm going to calculate the grade is explained here. If you can do math, you'll get this. If not, I can explain it to you in person. Here's the grading scale. This is how you're going to know what grade you got at the end of the semester. And here is the course schedule. We don't have class on Tuesday, but we do on the 17th. And you can see when late registration ends, when the due date for paying for late registration is, when spring break is, when the exams are. It's all there. All right, so now the other thing I want to show you is on the left pane here, every chapter will have its own folder, and the folder includes the PowerPoint for the lecture, add the extra credit assignments, and sometimes I'll add extra stuff for you to check out that I think is interesting related to the lectures, but that will not be on the exam. So you can download or open the PowerPoint. Here's the first extra credit assignment. It's due this Thursday. So the first lecture, at the very beginning of class, the first thing I'm going to do is pick up these if you want the extra credit for them. And you're basically going to do 4 things. 1, you're going to study that course description that was in the first and second pages of the syllabus, and write down any comments or questions you have, and note maybe if something really confuses you, make a note of that. 2, you're going to listen to an NPR story called Rapper's Delight, the one-take hit. What I'd like you to do as you're listening to the story is do your best to note when they're talking about media, when they're talking about culture, and when they're talking about society. So, for example, the hip hop record, Rapper's Delight, is a piece of culture. And radio is media. So do your best. We're going to use this to sort of talk about media culture and society in the lecture, but I wanted to give you a chance to try to work on it on your own. And also we're going to talk about Rapper's Delight in class. And then I'd also like you to read this short piece about the history of graffiti in New York City on the subway cars and tunnels. And what I'd like you to do is take some notes about the highlights of the history that it talks about. And also give me a couple sentences telling me what you think about the anti-graffiti campaign the city did in I think it's late 70s, early 80s. Finally, listen to Jay-Z's album 444. I know it's a little old, but it's something that I think you'll enjoy kind of seeing what we're going to do with it. If you don't have access to a streaming app, you can listen to it here on YouTube. The quality isn't that great, but it'll do. You don't have to listen to it all, but if you like hip-hop music, listen to it a million times if you want. So what you're going to do for Thursday, you can handwrite these extra credit assignments if your handwriting is legible. Otherwise, type them up. You might want to type them up because eventually you may use this to study for the exam. Make sure when you bring it, your name is on it, that I can read your name, that I can read everything that you've answered these questions, and you're going to turn that in at the beginning of class. All right, so that's it for now. I'm looking forward to seeing y'all on Thursday. Have a good start of the semester, and I'll talk to you soon.